One by my reckoning. So that means it is a time for another episode of Real Talk with the Simpson family. Hello, I'm Ian. This is my lovely wife.
Rachel?
We are Ian and Rachel of Big Family Life in the Simpson Family Home and 4Fs in the Simpson Family Home. The 4Fs representing faith, family, food, and fitness. Faith, because we believe we can do all things through Him who loves us. Family, because aside from God, there's nothing in this world more important. Food, because food is medicine. And fitness, because we believe overall wellness can be achieved by maintaining and achieving a strong mind, soul, and body. So we are back tonight, apparently doing a pajama edition.
It worked out that way.
We're doing a pajama edition. See, today was run day on a fitness tip. Today was run day in the Simpson family home. So Dad was feeling a little beat up after my run this afternoon. And I thought that, you know what, I'm just gonna throw on some pajamas and just chill for the rest of the day. So I can do that because teamwork makes the dream work. And if I'm like down or a little bit under the weather, somebody else is gonna step up. So it's all good. I could do that. And I think that Mom just saw that I was rocking pajamas and was like, yeah.
I gotta do pajamas too.
I got the pajamas. Besides, she looks so dang cute in pajamas, so it's all good. So once again, this is Real Talk in the Simpson family home, and this evening we gonna have fun. We gonna have a lot of fun. This evening's before I get into that, I'd like to tell our couple of visitors who might pop in from time to time over the course of this broadcast. I'm running through an app that manages the different platforms that we broadcast to. So while I can see that a visitor is here, I can't necessarily see who it is unless you send me a message, and that way I can give you a shout out and say thank you, God bless you. God bless you. Thank you for coming in and stopping by. So yeah, tonight we gonna have some fun. The topic tonight is drum roll.
Interracial relationships.
Interracial relationships. Yeah, we know a thing or two about interracial relationships, huh, baby? Mm-hmm. We know a little bit about interracial relationships. I think we are qualified to speak on this topic. So we gonna go ahead and speak. Go ahead, baby.
Yeah, it's something that we actually have a conversation about probably every week.
Mm-hmm.
One to kind of, between him and I, or it's like what we experience outside in the world. Since we've been together, I've noticed just different things, different responses, different reactions, depending on who I'm interacting with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more body language and eye contact and facial expression. Because that's how I read people, is by their body language, facial expressions, and yeah. So I can feel people's energy. So that's how we deal with, interracial relationships, but also with our children, because they are of mixed
ethnicity, if you want to call it, biracial, yeah. Whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. So we see a lot of differences. However, more similarities than differences, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you want to hit on first?
No, I'm gonna jump right in, and I'm gonna jump right in and ask this question, right? And I should have put this. I really should have put this in the headline for this episode because it's relevant. Can you be woke and still, or can you consider yourself woke and still? Because I used to hear it all the time. Can you consider? This is when I used to consider myself woke. I'm no longer that. However, can you still consider yourself woke and date outside of the culture? All right. Can you consider yourself woke and date outside of the culture? I want to touch on that. I want to touch on. It's seemingly more okay in the culture for a black guy to date a white woman than it is for a black woman to date a white man. It's seemingly more acceptable, and I'd like to touch on that double standard. Yeah, because it doesn't. Yeah. Go.
No, and then I wanted to touch on when you have biracial children. As a parent, especially what I've witnessed and experienced is that the other parent is not respectful of the other person's culture. That's what I wanted to speak about too,
Okay.
especially when it comes to raising children, because you're looking at the two different cultures, but you're not honoring the one culture, especially if they identify as being either indigenous or black or
Whatever.
whatever, right?
Right. Now, let me clarify that statement you made. Let me take a
Okay.
quick second and clarify it. I think what I'm hearing you say is that not necessarily biracial co-parents like bio parents, however, more so in our situation where one half of the bio parents is in another location. We come together as a blended family, and now we have in the home we have children who are biracial, black and white, if you would, and we have children who are indigenous. And so then, what I'm hearing, what you're speaking to now, is now the other set of parents not respecting the cultural differences within the home now, as the family unit presents itself now. Not necessarily what it was previously, and it's not necessarily us having the issue not respecting each other's
Yeah, no,
culture.
it's the outside. Yeah,
Right.
because
Okay.
what I see is that, and it's not even when you have children who are biracial. I'm just talking about.
Blended families.
No, I'm actually talking about when you have a child. Not even not in our experience, but when we're outside in the world, and you see children who are biracial, and you have maybe an aunt or somebody who's with that child,
Okay.
and they're unable to like with the hair,
Right. Got you.
respecting the child's hair, especially in our culture, hair is very important. And with what I've experienced with the boys is that like the texture is so different, and
Absolutely.
so I'm learning, and I've been doing my reading and making sure that the boys have what they need for their hair. So it's that respect that especially when you're going into a relationship, that you're aware and you're actually putting forth that effort into learning how to care for that, the child's hair or the child to be.
Yeah, you got to kind of meet them where they're at, and
Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, for me, speaking on my own lived life experience, right? I said to you initially that I would never raise another man's children, and what I meant by that is not simple. It was it was one of those statements within a statement, because I didn't mean it literally. Right, when I said that I would never raise another man's children, I didn't mean that. Oh yeah, you're gonna have to get rid of them kids, or they're going to have to get a name change or anything like that. Simply, it was just like, once I make that commitment, they mine. Right? That was it. That's it. They're mine. I don't consider them to be another. They're mine now, right? So
And we don't do the whole stepchild or step parent thing. It
step
because the,
brother, or yeah.
yeah, I just find that in our culture, either you're our child or you're not.
And we Jamaicans, so I mean that's right in line with what we do. Like, I mean, Jamaica, we got cousins and nieces and nephews living up in the house, and I mean, it's just like it's just family. That's it. It's just family
Yeah,
community.
there's no
It's our village.
yeah, it's just another way of labeling. And so that's where we see a lot of cultural similarities, especially in our home. And so that's how we raise our children. So it's being respectful of everybody, so everybody in the home. And, we're all considered, or they are all considered brothers and sisters, not step brother, or they're all equal. We actually put in that effort to not separate the children. So even when we're speaking about our children, it's not my kids or his kids.
Yeah.
It's always ours, because
We don't do that.
We don't do that.
We intentionally. I mean, we a family now. And I will say this. Baby and Brooke call me dad. Right. Those are the two youngest. And they baby tried it on first. She tried it on for her 7th birthday, and she tried it on and decided that she liked it. And then Bucky followed suit on her 10th birthday, and around there. And the thing is
Yeah.
is that I didn't ask. I graciously received that. I mean, I accept that. I received that. I own that. That gives me great joy. However, Ryder, Phoenix, and Jasmine still just call me Ian, and that's fine. You know, I mean, I'm in it to where whatever their comfort level is. Now, those three might never call me dad, and that's okay because I don't need them to call me dad to know that they love me or to validate their love for me. I don't require that, and that's really important. That it has to be on their terms, right? So they have a voice. And I might have learned that. I think I learned that from my mom, my own mom, who passed when I was very young. Long story. I mean, my bio mom is still, God bless her. I love her. She's in Toronto. However, the mom that raised me, she passed. God bless her. She's in heaven. She passed when I was very young, and she taught me that because my childhood was like I was alone for a lot of you know. And then when I was, because they had to come, the family had to come here and adopt me, right? That's just it's complicated, but whatever. My dad married her, and for a lot of years she was just Auntie Stella. And I remember when they came back to Jamaica to come and get me, I distinctly remember this. I was lying on my Uncle Socket couch, and she was rubbing my head. She was rubbing my head. And, you know, she had just said to me, you know, you call me auntie for a while now, so it's up to you. If you wanna, hi Angie, God bless you. Thanks for stopping in. Thank you for stopping in. God bless you. And she was like, it's up to you. But if you want to call me mom, you can call me mom. And once she made it my choice, I was like, because the last one had tried to force me to call her mom. That's the lady that was taking care of me. And I was like, and nah. I was like, nah. She tried to beat it out of me. No. That was the only victory I got with that one. But I mean, once my mom said that it was up to me, I was like, oh, that's easy. That's easy money. And Mom. Angie, what we talking about? You were adopted.
So first, she wants to know
what are we
you
talking about?
So yeah, we're talking about interracial relationships. So that's relationship between him and I,
right?
And then
all interracial
around. Yeah.
I was adopted. Technically, kind of, sorta. It was an adoption process because my bio mom lived in Toronto. However, my bio mom and dad never married. My dad married my mom that raised me, and then when they came to Canada, because of I wasn't, we came on her papers, right? So because I wasn't her child by birth, she had to adopt me and go through that process legally here in Canada. And so while that was happening, I was back home in Jamaica. And initially it was all good because I was with my granny and out in country up in St. Elizabeth across the street from Monroe College. Hey, Tony, how you doing? Good to see you, brother. Mm-hmm. Good evening. And across from Monroe College. And that was great. However, my half-sister, her mom had designs on the money that my dad would have been sending to care for me. So she brought me to the city, and that was horrible. So yeah, adopted, but only in the sense that it was a legal technicality so that I could be brought to this country. Yeah. And we're talking about interracial relationships, and I want to jump right into the first point I talked about was what was the first one, baby? I remember the second one. The second one I wanted to touch on was why is it more okay, seemingly, for one member of the culture to thank you, Tony. I mean, but no, don't. It's not a sad story because we're in the process of writing the ending, and so, you know, by grace, I've been able to overcome so much. Mm-hmm. By grace, I've been able to overcome so much, and that's why I'm actually convinced that, you know, we have the ability to manifest our own life. Our own best life. We have the ability to manifest our own best life because of my testimony. Mm-hmm. This story hits home. I never had a father. Lived with my step cousin and his 6 cats. Yeah, brother. At the end of the day, our past doesn't define us. We don't have to allow it to define us. We can overcome great things through Him who loves us, mm-hmm. right? And so the first question I'd asked was, can you be woke? Or can you consider yourself woke and date outside the culture? Because that's a thing in the black community. That's a thing, right? And I was what you would consider. I considered myself woke for a lot of years, right? And yet here I am dating outside the culture, right? So a lot of people would criticize me as a result of that, right? And to that, what do I say? Yeah, those cats were a nuisance. I bet 6 of them. That'd be tough. I mean, I've had cats over the years, but I couldn't live with 6 of them.
I couldn't even live with a cat.
Yeah, I had
I'm
one
just,
at a
yeah.
time over the years, right?
Yeah.
And then the one passed. Oh no, at one time we had 2, and that was too much, and I left shortly after that. But like 6, yeah.
So yeah, so it's like for us, and I didn't grow up in Winnipeg. I came here in 2016. Yeah, 2016. So I came from the First Nation community, so there wasn't much a diverse ethnicities out there. Mm-hmm. You know, every once in a while you would see either the I'd like to call them, you know, relationships where they had either a white partner or there was some I think growing up some of the kids in my children's schools were of mixed race.
Okay.
So there wasn't actually very many diverse people other than, you know, the surrounding towns. So coming to Winnipeg, it was different. But we met actually here in Winnipeg at a powwow.
At a powwow.
Not looking for respective partners at that time. It's
At
just
all.
yeah, it happened. So it was.
It wasn't a chance meeting. It was just, you know, we were brought together. You know, I firmly believe that. Thanks, man. I appreciate you, Daniel. Yeah, thanks for giving me that information. I don't. That's my internet connection. So unfortunately, there's not a whole lot that I can do about that. That might affect the live stream. However, once I repost, it'll be it should be all good. Love you, Ian. You inspire me to be a great grand. Well, thank you, Tony. Thank you. God bless you. We appreciate you so much. Thank you, and thanks for stopping in, Daniel. We appreciate you, man. We're talking about Let me put this question to you, brother. I'm gonna put this question to you, Daniel. Can you consider yourself woke and still date outside the culture? Let me hear your thoughts real quick, because I know where I stand on that, and I'm pretty sure I have an idea where you stand as well. However, I'd like to hear your words, and while you're collecting your thoughts, I'll go ahead and fill the void here. For me, I mean, you know, this is gonna sound cliche, but I mean, love sees no color. It can't. Because then, if it does, it's not love. So can you? Do I consider I no longer consider myself woke, right? I no longer aspire to that level of being, right? I consider myself to. I'm trying to resonate at a higher frequency. I'm trying to get above all the noise, the white noise. There's a lot of white noise. When you vibrate and resonate at a low frequency, there's a lot of white noise. And white noise, all it's good for is just distraction, right? It creates a lot of distraction. So I'm trying to get away from the distractions and resonate at a higher frequency. So you get to a point where you realize that a lot of this stuff here at this level doesn't really matter. It doesn't. You know, we can get caught up in it if we choose. You know, there was a race war. I heard there was a race war here recently, you know, and we're still in the midst of it. You know, there's professional sports. You know, there was a Super Bowl recently, basketball games all the time, hockey, baseball. And I used to be really big into it. Like, I mean, we're a sports family. We got two monsters in the home here, you know, 6'8" and 6'6". So we're still a basketball family in that regard, and I still have a passion for it. But no, I don't allow myself to be distracted by a lot of the other stuff that happens at this lower frequency anymore. So and that's not judgment. That's just my own personal journey. God has taken me to another level. So I don't really see color anymore. What? She
No, I
get a
think
kiss, I don't get a kiss.
so. I'm thinking it's
What?
more that it's the person, the
No,
personality,
you.
the energy that the person puts off more than.
Auntie Angie says hi. Auntie Angie says hi. All right.
So I think it's more of the energy or the personality of the person that we've seen. Because for me, we started. Okay, wait.
I'm an experienced Daniel. I'm an experienced interracial relationship member. I love my seeds, but I realize the cultural disruption I allowed. Okay. Go in, brother. Keep talking. He's going to need to. Go in, brother. Go in.
So yeah, it's for us, or when we met, it was actually we met through my cousin and his brother.
Yeah,
They
my
were
brother, my
friends.
baby brother came to my town to introduce me to my future wife. God bless him. And that's not what it was. That's just who the vessels God used.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And so it was our conversation, and it was like we were talking, but it was what we were talking about that really opened our eyes to see who we were and what our values were, where our love was, and it was our children. First thing, first thing we talked about was our
Yeah, you're
children.
fine.
You know, I had 6 children, and he had
You still do, baby.
No, well,
One-
I know that was, but I had I had
Yeah.
6 children, and he had 4 children,
Correct.
and so that was the one thing we talked about right away.
Common ground.
It was, that we,
6 plus 4 equals 10. Thank you, baby.
and so it was our love for our children, because we love them with everything that we have, and it was those like the most important things in our life that really, so our values, what we cared about. Oh, she's posting
She
up, right?
posting up. So once we found that ground, then it was like, okay, let's identify because okay, and I'll say this: I've been in I'm interracial relationships for time. As a young man, Angie, going back. Are these your love PJs? No, it's a pajama party tonight, though. It turned into a pajama episode because I was beat up after my run this afternoon, so I put on PJs. And baby here, she don't ever want me to feel left out, so she put on PJs too. So we're doing a pajama episode. However, around the time that you and I were in high school, Angie, and I'm sorry, dear. I shouldn't have dated you like that. My bad. However, around that time, I had a relationship with a young black girl, and I must have been about 14 years old. Oh wow, it was shortly after my mom died. Okay, that explains a lot. I don't really. I don't. We do trauma over here in the Simpson home. We look at trauma. We take a long, hard look at our trauma in the hopes of recovering from our trauma to help to break those generational curses that run in our families. And so, the one trauma in my life I seldom really ever look at is my mom's death, and I'm just not ready. I will. I promise you, and we'll talk about it. Not today.
I'll bookmark that for you.
Ah, man. I was unaware of the color code that was created for the survival of a particular race. I now have to inform my kids that the results... This is Daniel again, I'm sorry. I was unaware of the color code that was created for the survival of a particular race. I now have to inform my kids what the results will be when and if they decide to breed outside our visually identifiable culture. Angie, deep. Yeah, that was deep, Angie. We'll get there. Stick around, Angie. We'll get there. However, thank you for that, Daniel. I'll get into that in a second. And this girl, though, was the first, one of the first girlfriends I had. I was like a young man in this country trying to figure out what that meant, a black man in Winnipeg in the 80s. Or a black young boy in Winnipeg in the 80s. That was rough. That was... Yeah. Winnipeg is very politely racist. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. Yeah. But it's okay. We made it through. And I mean, that only affected me and impacted me negatively because I allowed it to affect me and impact me negatively just with my mindset in regards to it. If I would have had this positive mindset back then, I would have overcome it too. Well, yeah, you gotta hide trauma, Angie. You know that. You gotta hide that. So Daniel, you say that now you say that so that kind of jaded my unfortunately that experience kind of jaded my opinion towards black women after that or black girls. We were just kids. And rightfully or wrongly, I didn't date another black girl after that. I mean, she did me bad, and I mean, it hurt a lot. And yeah, that right or wrong, that's just what it was. So Daniel says the fact is, if my children breed outside their race, they will have children that look nothing like a black man or woman. Scientifically speaking, I will have started the spiral of the death of my genes. And so then, that I don't know because
I feel like there is a truth to that because for one of us, growing up, it was for me because I was a child of an indigenous mother and a Caucasian father, and so for me to have children, they are now 3/4 indigenous and then they're a quarter white, right?
I'll get to you, Daniel.
Yeah, no, and I'm going to that. And so it was actually a conscious decision because our treaty rights, like, because I was considered I think it's 6.2B under Canada's treaty with the indigenous people. So if I was to have a child outside of my race or my ethnicity, that child would not have the treaty rights. They wouldn't be considered treaty to the Canadian government. And unfortunately now those have been changed within the last couple of years. So you and I to have children, the child would be treaty. So it's just looking, but yeah. So getting to what you're saying is that if
hang on there, Angie, you said I know that now. Yes. Give me a follow up there, please, Angie. Let me know what specifically you're referencing. What specifically you're referencing.
Sorry.
And then go ahead, talk to Daniel, please.
No, and I believe that that's true because
Daniel wrote it's called systemic racism.
With breeding out the blackness or the indigenous, with the government, that's kind of what they were doing is to get rid of indigenous peoples either by killing them off, which there is truth to that. Residential schools trying to teach the Indian out of them,
right? As
they said. I don't like using the word Indian.
Yes, I know, my lord.
And then eventually, like, by breeding them out. So then they don't have to be responsible for indigenous peoples, which I find very
offensive.
Very offensive. So to create that your tribe, right, is to actually give them the genes that you want to put forward, especially with your children. You want them to have that historical and that ancestral strength running onto your next generation.
Absolutely.
And teaching them about your strengths. Oh, it is that time?
Yes, it is that time.
Oh, wow.
So are we then to assume then, Daniel, that you're saying in answer to the question that no, you cannot, is that in fact your answer? No, you cannot consider yourself woke and date outside the culture. That is the question right now. And And I'll give you a couple minutes to get into that and type your response. And Angie, I was hoping you would let me know what specifically you were referencing, because I say a lot and it's tough to sometimes keep track of everything that I'm saying. So, right?
And dates
And time stamps and everything else. But yeah, and though we're talking about interracial relationships, and more specifically, can you consider yourself woke if you date outside the culture? I would not, given my level of information. Okay, you would not consider yourself woke. Okay, and that's fair. Thank you for your input. I mean, and if I'm misrepresenting the information that I'm giving you, please correct me. Sex I would breed. Sex I would breed. I would not.
Okay. So yeah, interracial sex, yes, but to breed, he would not.
Okay. So
Yeah.
okay. Copy that. Thank you. And Angie, when you said about hiding certain insecurities and things of the past with coping skills, like I said, you're new cool. I'd never know your stuff. It's fascinating, but I totally get it now. Yes, I type slow. I'm old again. What do you mean
Again.
you're old? What do you mean
Again.
you're old? I mean, we're the same age. Come on, Edge. I'm older than you. Who's having sex? Nobody having sex, Ange. This is a family program.
Just because we have pajamas on. Sorry, I do have a crazy sense of humor, and sometimes I have to keep myself in check.
Yeah, hello, son. Yeah. So yeah, and then again, and so then we will at this, and this is great because we can show that, because Daniel is my man, 100 grand. Right? He's my man 100%. I have love for him. He's a member of my village. I consider him to be a member of my community. And on this point, and I'm sure on other multiple points, we disagree. We happen to disagree on this point, and it's fine. We don't hate each other. You know, I got love for him. I know he got love for me, and we can agree to disagree. And I'm conscious of the problems I create through the planned procreation through colonization. And I mean, valid point. I mean, for me, however, and here's why I disagree. Just simply because I no longer see color. The whole race war. Hey CJ, how you doing, son? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in to say hello. We're talking about if you can consider yourself woke and date outside the culture. And so, as I said, I just don't see color anymore.
I don't think it's you don't see color. You just see people for who they are,
I
and
see
you
people
either
for who they are.
respect them for who they are.
Yeah.
Because it's I really don't like when people say, "Oh, I don't see color," because
Yeah,
it's like, "Oh, I got a black
that's a
friend."
catchphrase, right?
I'm
not a racist. I got a black friend.
Or I have an indigenous friend, or you know what I mean. It's just like you can't justify.
It's like, really,
it's
you got
just
that
like
one black friend, huh?
No, it's just respecting everybody.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's a catchphrase.
And so it's just respecting each individual for who they are and what they bring to the table.
Absolutely.
So, and I think that's what I was really attracted to you, is what you brought to the table. Because yes, your values, your humor, and it's that voice. I'm not gonna lie, that voice. So I love you. So it's. Yeah.
What happened?
No, I'm getting comfortable here.
Oh,
but
okay.
the one thing I see is that as women, what we look for in a partner, and especially for procreation reason, is you're looking for the male with the strongest genes.
I mean, and
because
that's a survival. That's a survival.
Yeah,
thing,
it's
right?
ingrained in us, and a lot of people don't understand that. What they're actually looking for in a partner. I want to say a mate, but I keep thinking of animals when I say mate.
But I mean, no, it's right. It's right.
Okay, but
it's right. We're just a human animal, right? Yeah. So no mating. Yeah, that's what it's kind of what we do. Yeah. Go ahead.
And that's what it was. Is that he, has those strong genes that I was like, hey, yeah. And that's what is attractive to me, because his strength, it's just all his body type.
Oh, thank you, baby. And apparently I was her first dalliance, if you would, outside of the culture. So there's that. I don't know, whatever. Is that a notch in my belt or something? I don't know. I don't know. Daniel, who has the strongest genes on the planet?
And because I didn't have much diversity growing up, and the more that I've listened to you guys speak and talk, and it is, and also through even education, I was going through this one, this class. Oh my gosh, what was it? It was like this recreation, but they had an indigenous content to it, and it, when we used to have meetings and we were talking, right, and then my professor was like, well, all races come from the black gene. And this is in university. So he's telling me this, and I was like, did you hear that? So I know that black people have the strongest gene because, they're very...
dominant.
Very, yeah.
And I mean, however, that's not what this is. That's not what this is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jordan,
yeah. Just a train wreck. Love you. That's not, I mean, and who has the strongest genes on the planet? Who has the weakest or the weaker genes? I mean, and for me, the point of that is, and I know the answer to both those questions. However, the point that I would make is that it's not relevant, because I think that the point that I make is that from my lived life experience, none of that's resonating at that lower frequency where you get caught up in these distractions, if you would, no disrespect to anyone else. And I mean, we end up a lot of times fighting the same battles repeatedly. And then you say that, and what's the point? Because at the end of the day, while, I'll get into that right now, brother. You said that, how is it not relevant? To me, in my own lived life experience, quite simply, it's not relevant simply because I've overcome. I've overcome being black. I've overcome being the only black kid in my school. I've overcome being one of like 2 black kids in high school. I've overcome, being targeted by law enforcement. I've overcome, and when I look back at my lived life experience, I recognize and I see that had I been in a different place in that time, there were people there that were in position to help me, but I either didn't accept the help. Yeah, I didn't accept the help.
Because there was a mistrust.
Angie, did you know the Bodhies offered, after my mom died, the Bodhies offered to adopt me? Yes. It would have changed my life. It would have changed the trajectory of my life. They saw that I'd just fallen apart, and then I'd left home and everything, and they saw that, and they were like, come, we'll take care of you. We'll help you get back on track, right? And they because I was a good kid. I was a fantastic student. I was a rock star in the classroom, a freaking rock star. And they saw that. And Mrs. Bodie was my volleyball coach. You know that. And Mr. Bodie was the gym teacher. They were both gym teachers. And they offered to help me. And I was, hi Carla. God bless you. True story. God. Love you.
Love you. Good night.
Good night, baby.
Good night.
Good night. Yes, aunties and uncles. Yes. And true story. They offered to help. They offered to help. I was so broken. I wasn't in a place to receive it. Yes. So how can I not say that God will place people every step along? Yeah. People have been there. I met a guy named Everett Wallace. I don't even know how I met this guy years ago as a young man being in and out of corrections. This guy showed up at my cell one day. I got a visit in remand. Yeah, the new remand center. I got a visit. How do I got a visit? This guy come in and say that he noticed that I don't get no visits and that, and he just wanted to talk to me. Let me know, and he started mentoring me. Where'd he come from? This guy took it upon himself to go talk to my dad. My dad and I were estranged at the time. You don't know this story, baby. My dad and I were estranged at the time. He took it upon himself to go talk to my dad on my behalf, say how you can't bring a kid from Jamaica to this country and just drop him off and expect everything to be all right. There's work to be done. You got to give him some help. You got to help him out. Where did this guy come from? Again, I wasn't in a place to receive that help because I cut him loose. It was right around that time that I first got with the ex. That's how long ago this was. But he showed up in my life seemingly out of nowhere. Another story, me and some homies was driving to Calgary, okay, for whatever foolish reason. Cube, Chris Jacobs, another Hispanic dude, and Brian Facey, driving to Calgary, went through a ride in Mountain Park, driving, hit a black ice, car spun out. We've been driving for hours. We saw nothing. No one. Hours. And then the car spins out, didn't flip, didn't go in the ditch, but we're stuck. We're stuck. All of a sudden, a car come out and he like, okay, hold on, I'll be back. Come back with a tractor, pull us out the ditch, go to thank him. He on his way. And I'm driving now, and I'm looking. We let him go. We got ourselves together. And hey, let me tell you, man, I'm not. Hey, you believe me or not, it's up to you. This is my lived life experience. Don't believe me or not, I don't care. Okay, there was no farmhouses. Okay, there was no dirt roads. Okay, where this dude came from, where he went to, I don't know. But he showed up, he helped us, and he left. Okay. I can tell you more stories. So that's why I say it's not relevant to me on my journey. On my journey, it's not relevant because my journey is different from, good night, baby, love you. Love you. Love you.
Love you.
My journey is different from everybody else's journey. My journey is about taking me and my family to that next level that, we can live God's promises. That's my journey. I don't have time to resonate at this level to be distracted by things that just really aren't that important to me anymore. No disrespect to anyone. That's your journey. You're fighting the good fight. I respect and appreciate that. It's just not my battle any longer. Mm-hmm. Let me redress some of these comments. Angie, my son say, why do you say my Muslim friend? That's her culture. I said that's her, how I describe her, call her as baby.
When I refer to her because I say Vicky, my Greek friend, or whatever, it's how I describe my immigrant parent. So
Don't be sorry.
No, and so I see what she's saying. It's like, so when she's like referring to people that she knows, so like either to her, she's saying to her son, Vicky, my Greek friend, mm-hmm. or my Muslim friend. Mm-hmm. It's a culturally.
It's a cultural marker.
Yeah.
It just helps you. It helps you readily identify people, and maybe it's a cue. Maybe it is a cue to say that. I don't know. Maybe it's a cue to. Maybe what you're doing in that moment is you're saying that, don't say anything inappropriate because this person is my friend and she's, no, you're fine, Angie. And maybe it's just a cue to say that, to let other people know that they're of an ethnicity and it's not okay to make a comment because maybe, I don't know. I don't
see anything wrong with that because,
No, I don't either. It's a visible marker, mm-hmm. right? It's now there's other visible markers that are not as kind, that are very unkind. I wouldn't. Yeah. Yeah.
Her mom is from Italy.
Your mom is from Italy, Angie. I would have never guessed. Angie and I grew up. We went to school. Carla and I grew up, and we went to school. It's great. I mean, we can reminisce though. I mean, yeah, it was. I mean, life was a lot less complicated back then. It really was.
Even going back to that, because what I see, mm-hmm. and this is just from my observation, mm-hmm. Because being new to the city and it's a whole different culture out here. Mm. But it also seemed to me, and I was telling him that it seemed to be a way of that black men had white girlfriends.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing.
It was like an 80s thing or a 90s thing. I'm not even sure about the 2000s or what it is now. However, I said it just seems to have it was a phase or something, going through.
No, it's still going on.
It's still
a thing.
It's still a
it's still
thing.
kind of a thing, especially with professional athletes. However, what I want to touch on is why is it more acceptable, seemingly, for a black man to date a white woman than it is for a black woman to date a white man? And I know I've heard all the arguments, and the leading argument I've heard is that when you look at slavery and things like that, how could a black woman everything else.
But there's
Thoughts?
always double standards when it comes to everything, especially when it comes to women, because men can have or they're used to being cultural or societal norm that men can have as many women. It was actually a thing back then, and
Sign
so
of masculinity. if
yeah,
you will.
sign of yeah, and so and with women, you were just considered to have one partner and within your own ethnicity, basically.
Yeah, so just so we're clear, me and my friend Daniel here we're at different ends of the spectrum here, I think, on this issue. He doesn't believe that, as far as physical activity, sex, that's one thing. However, as far as reproducing, then he would no longer think that it'd be reproduced outside of the race. My opinion, quite simply, is just that love is love. I don't, again, as my wife said, is that, if you connect with a person, right? Because, life is really just about relationships and connections, right? And so if you connect with a person on a spiritual level, if you would, because, hey, Harry, thanks for stopping in, buddy, on a spiritual level, because this has to be more about just the physical. Yeah, absolutely, the physical is important. Like, bonus that, she gorgeous, and she just do everything for me physically, like everything. We can't talk about that. She just, she's my type, is what I'm saying, right?
But that's what it is, though, is that a lot of people just go for the physical and
Right.
not look at the intellectual, look at the core values. It's more about how that person looks. And I actually seen was it like an article or just a minute. Sorry, the door. No, kids
Right.
are up here.
Somebody's at the door.
Yeah.
Who? Oh, Leroy. It's gotta be. I saw your message pop up over here, so I knew that you were popping. Uncle Leroy just popped in. So yeah, make yourself welcome. You know what's up. You know what we're doing. I type slow. No, stop apologizing, please. You know that we some Canadians up in here because every second
really
sentence
sorry.
is an apology. Stop it. Now in hospital. Now in hospital. But you go, please.
Now in hospital, but that's how I still describe my friends. Hope it's not racist sounding. My son thinks it's their culture. I said I don't have lots of Muslim friends, so I say so. And so I say my Muslim. So my mom remembers.
Her hijab too.
See, these kids these days like to be correcting me all day.
The deepest
It's you there.
information.
Sorry, don't say sorry.
Yeah. And then Daniel again, the deepest information that is unknown, we are not genetically the same. That's not unknown. I think that's not unknown. I think it's
known.
little known. It's maybe not mainstream. It's maybe not mainstream knowledge. However, I don't think that you can say it's unknown. No, we're not. And we're not really. No, I get that. Yeah, he said that his choices goes beyond his feelings. No, I totally get that. I totally get that. Okay, I concede it's unknown because the average person doesn't know that. Do I know that? Yes, I've seen information that suggests that, so I was aware of that. Can I know that it's unequivocally true? I can't know that unequivocally. At the end of the day, I'm just accepting someone else's opinion because I put it through my filters of common sense and my own lived life experience, right? So that's just where I am. I just try to be more fluid in my thought processes. So now let's. So again, my position is just though for me, it's. I'm just trying to take my family to that next level so that we can live God's promises, right? So whatever, culturally speaking, can I be woke and date outside the culture? Well, I no longer date. I'm married. So can I consider myself woke? I'm telling you, if people knew the information, they would not. Fair. It's possible. It's possible they would not. Daniel says if people knew the information, they would not breed outside their culture. If they knew, and I mean that's a fair statement, and it's a plausible statement. However, if people, we can't know how people will react to any, because everybody's on their own journey, right? Maybe somebody is willing to take that chance for whatever reason, or they're, whatever your accepted level of risk is, right? Risk assessment and things like this,
It's not what it looks like.
No, and it looks horrible because you're walking out the door with a big knife. So I'm hoping it's not what it looks like,
I'm like,
because
what?
it looks horrible.
It's not what it looks like.
Okay.
I happen to be cutting some vegetables or something.
You cutting some vegetables. Okay. Yeah.
And the brother we're talking, that's the one that brought us together. And
right.
he was the one in the background texting both of us saying, "Oh, he likes you."
Yeah, because I'm sitting there.
She likes you.
Right, and I'm sitting there because, again, neither one of us were in a place where we were looking for a relationship. I was committed to my healing journey. I'd just gotten out of jail. I was in rehab, and I was also in on parole. So, I mean, hey, I was the total package, right? I had so much to offer a woman. Yeah, let's go. No, I wasn't at all into it. And, I'm getting texts from my brothers. I think she likes you. And meanwhile, she's getting the same text from him, right? and I got to thinking that, okay, he needs a wingman. He needs me to step up and da-da-da-da-da. Okay, I got this. And we just talked. We just started talking, and it just... I was at the time, I was what, 45 years old? How old was I at the time, baby?
Yeah, about there, 45,
45 years old, 45, 46 years old. I mean, I come to I realize, I know myself fairly well at that point. I knew what I was, and I just kind of, I actually said this to her. This is an actual conversation that we had. I said, hey, listen.
That was the next day.
I was like, if this is a whole, hookup thing, I'm like, thanks, I'm flattered. I'm not your guy. Now, remember, I just got out of jail. I was in jail for a year. You know what I mean? So I just got out of jail. I mean, I hadn't had any physicality, nothing for a year, right? And I was still like, that guy was like, yeah, if that's what this is, it's like, yeah, no, thanks, but yeah. That's not where I'm at right now. And she was like, good, cuz.
The same kind of mindset. It wasn't just looking for hookup. It was looking for long term. So, oh wow, I just sounded Rez there for a second.
And you say you think we need a camera? Are we glitchy? Are we, because this is a brand new camera that we're working here with? Are we glitchy? Let me know, please. It could be. It's not the camera. It's not the equipment. It's our internet connection up here. We've had. And it's so interesting how Bell MTS come in and sell you, like, what was it, 1 terabyte, like the max that you can get, right? Like 1 terabyte of you're supposed to have unlimited this and that, and then they sell you those
speed,
and high speed this
whatever.
and that, 500 upload, 500 download, but the equipment that they give you maxes out at 100, and then they charged you extra for the equipment too. Yeah, no. I think you need a TV. No, a TV. What do I need a TV for? Ange, what do I need? What do we need? We got.
You say you need to be on TV.
Oh, we got multiple TVs in the house, Ange.
You gotta be on TV.
I am on TV. I'm looking at myself right now. Ange, what you talking about? We had a couple viewers just pop in, so yeah, just a quick recap. We're talking about interracial relationships. Obviously, we are an interracial couple, blended family, and one of my good homies is in here with us, Daniel, and his opinion is that story of your journey.
Movie of your journey.
Oh, that's what you mean. And so we say interracial relationships. Can you consider yourself woke and date outside the culture? I no longer consider myself woke, so for me, the answer to that question is although when I was woke, it was a conflict. I was actually conflicted within myself, because when I still consider myself woke right up until I got kicked off all my social media platforms a few months ago. So about halfway through last year, and I was woke up until then, and then I became really woke, I guess. I don't know. And so there's conflict there. I will say you fit the narrative of the Red Book. It's a native book that has the symbology of your journey. I need some context there and an explanation, Daniel. What is the Red Book?
Or even where we could find that book.
Yeah.
To see what reference.
What you're referencing.
And just going forward, like getting back on the interracial. So what it is that we have a lot of similarities, especially when it comes to our children. The upbringing of our children is quite the same. So it's
reconnected.
Yeah. And so we, going forward, that's what we implement at home. So it's in the cuisine that we eat. Our food is blended. So we have indigenous foods, we have Jamaican food, and a fusion of both, and everything is spicy.
Everything's spicy, yeah.
Like he makes.
We Jamaican.
He makes a jerk turkey now. So
that's
is
a recipe I've been playing with for years, and I'm perfecting it. And jerk pork ribs too. Ooh, those are sweet.
So we bring our children up in a lot of the culture, and because we have like the multiple cultures, and so with Callie, she self-identifies as Jamaican.
Yes, baby identifies as being Jamaican.
You can't tell her otherwise.
True.
It's a real thing for her.
It
so we allow her to express herself and identify herself.
Right.
And but we also speak Ojibwe at home. So because I'm learning my language, so I have to talk to the kids, and it's funny because I'll say something and Justice will look at me and like, what'd you say? And so I repeat it again and I tell him what it is, and he's actually catching on. So he's learning another language subconsciously. But the other thing is that we always laugh about the res accent. So everybody that, when you, I think it's new on TikTok, and like there's a little indigenous content on there. So you'll have like, it's just a different dialect, whatever, in a conversation, exactly, and it kind of tells you which community you're from.
Right.
However, Justice, I'm not sure. You do it a lot.
What's that?
You have the res accent, especially when you're talking to the kids.
It's true.
And so Justice has now picked up on it, and so he'll be talking to me, and he'll be it's kind of a slang of how we speak our words. So I just thought it was interesting that he's picking up on a lot of the indigenous culture.
And then we have our own language that we speak as well. We have we have a series of grunts that and those we developed those. I noticed Jasmine, she is the so there was a thing in the house earlier on when we called the children, what? And I was like, okay, that needs to stop. No more whats. When somebody calls you, what? No, that needs to stop. So now we answer when someone goes, yes, how can I? And so Jasmine, in that's as much as she's ready to go give up her what. But is not just can also be and then it's also right, and then there's the whole we got a whole language that we speak. So again, let's get back to the issue. Now let's talk.
We're talking about, it's not an issue. It's actually
what's a res accent. Carla wants to know what a res accent is, baby.
Go for it, babe. You got to do it.
What?
You do it.
No.
Why
not? It's a dialect. It's how because I don't want to offend.
No, okay, yeah. So it's more.
Yeah, you can do that. I don't want.
So what it is, a res accent is more of how you it's kind of like slowing down your speech pattern.
It's like Jamaican. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's kind of like slowing down. It's like it's been a while. I haven't done it.
You do it every day.
See,
you just don't even know.
I think I have my customer service voice on right now.
Yeah. Customer service. What
Yeah.
she means is she's using her white voice.
It's funny. It's actually a thing like
I know.
yeah.
We're about to lose the Instagram in 20 seconds. So the people that came and hung out with us, thanks very much. We'll
Catch us on
post.
YouTube.
Yeah, jump over to YouTube. Follow the link. Jump over to YouTube. We're going to keep going, and then I'll repost this back on Instagram. Thanks very much, IG. We appreciate you. We love you. God bless. And we're going to keep going here. And
So yeah, the res accent is more. It's just yeah. It's just a slower.
Start a new IG post.
It's a slower way of speaking. And so
I
it's
could too, eh?
every reserve kind of has their own way they say things, and it's not even speaking in our language. It's actually speaking in English.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the kids all pick up on that, and it's really interesting. We do a lot of things that are different. Mm-hmm. However, everybody's involved, and for us, one of the things I guess with the kids, because they grew up in the community, and so when they came here, it's a whole new speech pattern for them. Because Noah's like, say word. And I'm like, I had a hard time with that. And then now I'm like, word.
Word? Word?
And so Callie.
Which word would you like me to say?
And so Callie, she starts talking like that. So she has a different kind of accent and way of speaking. It's just fascinating how these children just adapt to their environment.
So let's get the opinion of a couple of the women here that are here. We still have a couple here with us. I mean, what is your opinion on interracial dating? Where are we on this issue? And why is it seemingly more important? Why is it seemingly more acceptable for black men or the men of your culture to date outside of your culture? Because we have an Italian and a Filipino, as well as Daniel is another black. Why is it more acceptable for the men to date outside the culture than it is for the women to date outside the culture? Go. Let me know what you think, please. Carla, dating outside my culture was a definite no-no. I remember, Carla. Yes. I mean, and Angie, have you listened?
Oh yeah, she told me. I sorry, I should have messaged you and asked you for the lady's name.
Okay.
I did remember there was a song, but I didn't know who was singing it.
Expand, Carla, expand. Because Carla, if you remember back in high school, just flashback, remember in high school, I dated May Baldo and May was Filipino, May is a Filipina, and I dated her for quite some time. And that was a big deal. This dude came from the Philippines and he wanted to fight me for my girlfriend. And he was serious too. I mean, I remember we met, and you guys are going to remember this. This is hilarious. We met at Vimy Ridge Park. You guys remember Vimy Ridge Park. And he had on these leather gloves straight out of Greece. You remember the gloves that John Travolta wore, or Warriors, with the spike-studded fingers on there? He had some leather gloves like this, and I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, bruh, she chose me. I'm like, what do you want me to do? So yeah, again, Carla, expand on that thought, please. Why is it such a no-no for you to date outside the culture? If you're comfortable, expand it on it. And also, why is it seemingly more acceptable for the men of the culture to date outside of the culture than it is for the women to date outside the culture? Of course. So what we got? Carla says, we needed to tell my dad that you were just my friend. You were over with Andreen, and yeah.
What was that?
I'm waiting for Carla to finish her thoughts.
There.
Huh?
No, I'm just reading Angie's.
Okay. Oh, you're writing down the name. Angie, thank you. She's writing down the name. And and again, and I'll say it over and over again. And when you look at who was it that had said, we've spoken to members of different ethnicities, and the prevailing opinion when we speak to the women, it seems that, if the men can get someone out of the culture, it's a bonus. They've won. It's like they've won the lottery. But when the women do it, it's frowned upon. And
No, I thought it was the women. That if the women date outside the culture now, it's
yeah, I hear you, Carla. Great memory. She was babysitting my brother. Yeah, my sister was babysitting. Yeah, go. Sorry.
I thought what they said is that if it's the women dating outside their culture, they date a white man. It's seen as a way of the women having a better fortune. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
that they'll have a better life.
That's a black thing.
No, that was the Filipino.
That I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's a novelty for men to date outside the culture. Fact. It's like, oh, we won lottery. When with professional athletes, what I usually sometimes reference, and no disrespect, however, when I sometimes reference it as the the mandatory trophy wife. You have the mandatory cars, the mandatory outfits, the mandatory homes, and the mandatory blonde hair, blue eye wife. It's a thing. Black women are not a game. They expect greatness. That's from Daniel, and he has a black queen that and that they're coexisting together and making their best lives, manifesting their best lives. So he speaks from a place of great knowledge. And I don't. The only example of a black woman I have to draw on is my mom, and absolutely she was greatest woman I know, and yeah. Outside of that, as I said, though, I don't have a lot of experience dating within my culture. I don't know how I feel about that. If I certainly don't feel any shame. I haven't given it any great thought. I think that at a time when I still aspired to be woke, I think on a level it bothered me because I knew that was a contradiction because I couldn't. So I guess in answer to that question, can you consider yourself woke and date outside the culture? What's your definition of woke? What do you think, Leroy?
Well, I know a guy.
Okay.
That was definitely considered himself woke. And he would have Black History lessons, classes, and stuff in his house.
Okay.
And his woman, from what I understand, I never met her, was Caucasian.
Okay.
And I think he would send her to the room while he had his organizational platform.
Oh boy! So he would ask her to leave the room while he did his thing.
This is a black thing, baby. You gotta go upstairs.
Really?
Which I found kind of interesting, and I'm like, on one level, I get it. Meaning, like, the level that I get it on is you might not want your girl to overstep her place with your group. And then on another level, I'm like, I guess he's just showing how woke he is to the bone that he's like so hardcore. He's like, sorry, baby, this is a different affair. So, not that I'm saying you can or cannot, but I'm just saying there's an example of extremism in that scenario.
Okay, but I'm asking you, what's your opinion? Can you consider yourself woke and date outside the culture?
Well, absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay. Lay it down.
You're talking to a hardcore brother that I don't get any points for being hardcore, brother. And I'll say to you like this. Dating, right? Dating. Well,
Daniel here is also, I think Daniel has said quite explicitly that dating is a different issue. Dating is one thing, but when you're talking about procreating and reproducing, replenishing the species, then he's not at all interested in doing that outside the culture. It's two completely different things. We're talking
when
apples.
When it comes to dating,
right.
People change their dates like they change their clothes, their food, and their preferences.
Right.
Right? So I don't think it matters very much when it comes to dating.
Okay.
Right? And then when it comes to actually doing something serious,
like building,
as long as you ain't an Uncle Tom, you know what I'm saying? Then you be who you be. You are who you are. You love who you love. I remember being at my most militant time in the presence of a white girl, and I said, fuck. She was actually white. She was kind of Arab and something else, but white passing. And I was just like, fuck, if I find love in a white girl, so be it. You know what I mean? That wouldn't change who I am.
Now, for those
In
of
fact, that
you,
might change who the girl is.
for those you should know that Leroy is from Toronto, grew up, born and bred, so he's a different dude. He's a different life experience. It's a much different life. It's a much harder life over there than it is over here in Winnipeg. So it's a much different life experience. So let me get back to a couple of these
No,
comments
and I
here.
just wanted to say, don't you do anything with intent though. Like you date with intent, not just like you said you're dating for you know like somebody
just for games or just
for
a
games
dalliance
or you know like you said change of clothes type of thing or preferences in food. It's intent.
And that's what Daniel said at the very bottom here. I'll get to that, but I'm gonna get. But he says it's a slippery slope because sex creates children. Facts. Let's go back up. It says Carla. It was a novelty for men to date outside of culture. Daniel, black women are not a game. They expect greatness. Daniel, I've dated outside my culture, and they don't expect anything except a good husband. Your lived life experience. I'm not going to invalidate that. Angie said it is still all weird like that. The ex who ETF wants to get married. No offense, except go this. Oh boy. Angie, type that for me again, please. Your autocorrect is killing me. Carla, a Filipino wife to a white man was a stigmatism for them to improve their situation so they can send money back home to the Philippines. Okay, a Filipino wife to a white man was maybe that's a typo. Okay, a Filipino wife to a white man. So are you telling us that the wife would use the man for his money? Is that what this is? I'm asking. I'm not making an assumption. I'm asking. Angie says autocorrect, sorry. Again, Daniel, it's a slippery slope because sex creates children. Facts. And Daniel, it matters most definitely. I say it matters because when wealth transfers, it transfers outside the culture. And there's
And Carla said, "Yep, that's what she."
Okay, so that's a marriage of convenience because it better improves your situation. Okay, I understand that. I mean, no judgment. I mean, I understand that.
People got to do what they got to do.
Or they do what they feel they have to do. No judgment. And then back to what Daniel says is matters most because now when you're talking about generational wealth, when you're talking about cultural wealth, that's a huge thing. That's a huge thing. And yeah, but I mean, the problem, Daniel, is that when we're talking about the culture and money being transferred out the culture, who's responsible for that? Who's responsible for sending the money outside the culture? We are. I mean, no sooner do we get the money. I mean, not when I say we, I don't necessarily mean you, right? However, one of the areas where we fail as black people is quite simply that we do not spend money within our culture. Our money, the black dollar spends the least amount of time in the black community than any other dollar. You look at the Jews, an example, and they're the standard. That money hardly ever leaves the community. Right? You look at Asians, they're very good. That money stays in the community. You look at the Browns, if you want to call them that, East Indians, that money stays in the community. Black folk, as soon as we get a paycheck, man, that's gone.
And indigenous people, same thing.
It's gone. It spends no time in the black community building black infrastructure and helping. Give me 5 minutes, I'll make the argument segregation was the worst thing to happen to black people. That's a different conversation. You're speaking about consumerism. Facts. Black people accounted for $21 trillion in spending in 2019. I think if I got those numbers right, there's a lot of numbers up here. Yeah. Right? How many universities did we build? But we quick to go buy Gucci, Fendi, Prada. Even though them cats say that they don't want us buying their clothes, we still insist that we have to have it. And you see, that's why I'm at the point where it's just foolish. It's just a distraction. I can't resonate there anymore. I can't resonate there anymore. I have to get above that because that's a trap. That's a never-ending trap.
That has nothing to do with generational wealth.
That has not. Daniel says that has consumerism. That has nothing to do with generational wealth. I mean, of course it does, because as soon as we get $1, we spend it. So how is that creating generational wealth? You know, we're not very good at creating generational wealth as a people. We're not. individually, absolutely. Because some of the richest individuals in the world are black folk, right? Individually, yes. However, so you want to talk about systematic racism? Well, systematically, black people are not very good at creating generational wealth. Now we can have the conversation that says that that's intentional because there were systems put into place that prevented us from doing that, i.e., redlining when buying homes. Absolutely, we can have that discussion. Absolutely. What I'm saying here is that, is it our fault that things are the way they are? Absolutely not. It's not our fault that we didn't ask to be put into slavery and all that. It's not our fault. However, whose responsibility is it to get out the barrel? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it might not be your fault that you have trauma, but it is your fault, your responsibility to fix it. It's not my fault that black folk is in this situation that we're in right now. It's not white folk fault that, you know what I mean? However, it's my responsibility to get me and my family out the barrel. And so I can no longer resonate at that frequency that keeps me being distracted and keep fighting meaningless battles.
He says my kids will inherit my wealth. Yeah, and
yes, because you're a different dude.
Yeah.
You're a different dude. And we are different people. Go.
No, and that's what we're talking about, like interracially. Like, even though we're of two different cultures, but there is those similarities.
We identified what the similarities were early on.
We look at the similarities instead of the differences. Mm-hmm. And the kids all benefit from his knowledge.
And the kids all benefit from her knowledge.
So
we're a team.
It's a team. It's a team effort. And so going forward in any of the... like when it comes to our children, especially with the different hair textures, and also being aware of who they are and where they come from. Mm-hmm. We've had this conversation with the kids, and I think it was just the other day I asked him, I'm like, what ethnicity are you? Mm-hmm. And he just looks and he goes,
First 12 years of his life, he's only known that he's white.
And he goes, I don't know. And so we all had a conversation at the table. The kids, all the other children said, well, I am, And then finally, I'm like, you're Jamaican. And I don't know what exactly. Ukrainian. So mom is Ukrainian. So just letting him know that, he has two cultures inside him, inside of him. Mm-hmm. However, I said, no, you said, is that you usually take after your father's.
Well, the Bible says you're your father's heritage. That's what the Bible says. Mm-hmm. So, technically speaking, if that's your journey, if that's the journey that you're on, and you aspire to that set, then he would be considered Jamaican. Mm-hmm.
And so for him, he's now learning a lot of his Jamaican heritage. Of course they do, but kids that don't look like him benefit.
Whose self-esteem are we influencing?
I don't understand.
We're not understanding your reference here, brother. Give us a little clarity, please, if you could. Yeah. And so, again, as Carla had said, Carla was like, it was acceptable for Carla had said if the women was dating outside of the culture, it was more a situation where there was a benefit there. There was the added benefit of being able to send money back to the Philippines to support family members there, and so on and so forth. If you have researched the black doll, white doll test, yeah, I'm aware of that. You give a child, you sit a child down, give them a black doll and a white doll, and ask them which one is good, which one is bad, and the majority of the children will pick the black doll as being the bad. Yes, I'm aware of that.
It's actually ingrained in everybody because that's what's indoctrinated right through birth, and it comes from the parents. So it's the parents. It starts at home and then within the community. Mm-hmm. And so we understand what that is. So it's our job as parents to teach them who they are and to make them aware what's going to affect them in the outside world. Mm-hmm. you'll get the psychological effects of the current environment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our lived experience, and we're aware of it. And so we just want to overcome it instead of, allowing it to keep us in the same place.
And I mean, yeah. Ultimately, I think that because of my lived life, no need. Because of my lived life experience, and again, this is all this ever is. This is just, again, man with an opinion, woman with an opinion, couple with an opinion, and we have a platform that we can share that opinion. We're not here to tell you that our way works better than your way, or that our way is right and that your way is wrong. We just here to have discussions because we think that these conversations are worthwhile to have. And at the end of the day, if we take the time to sit down and talk, we will figure out that we have more in common than we do uncommon, or we're more alike than we are unalike. Overcome. What do I reference when I say overcome? What I reference is just quite simply, it's been my lived life experience that I've overcome a great deal of adversity. I've overcome a great deal of trial and situational trauma and generational trauma, and I mean, I'm manifesting by grace under God, manifesting my best life. And for me, that is definitely going to be different than what it would look like for you or anybody else, because my priorities are different. My priorities now, because of my lived life experience, there was a time when I wanted the great Canadian dream, if you would. Like, that's what I aspired to, big house, couple cars, vacation, da-da-da-da-da. My priorities have changed. Do I still want a big house? Yeah, we got a big house. We okay. I mean, I have more than what I need, but I mean, the thing is that you reach a place where, I don't know, man, you just, you need less.
Yeah, no, and overcoming is that communication happens now with our children instead of it happening when they're 18 and, being told about it in high school and post-secondary, because it's watered down. Why can't they get the truth from us as to what is actually out there? For us, that allows us as parents to allow them to overcome a lot more sooner rather than later.
Hopefully, yeah, that's the hope. Yeah, possibly. However, that's not what it's about for us. Ultimately for us, it's just getting our family out the barrel.
And this is our journey.
Yeah.
And because we want that open communication in regards to interracial relationships, because this is a journey in itself. I've had to be in situations where I'm walking with him and, people are giving me certain, side glances or, right away you feel judgment. However, I just hold my head up high and keep walking. Meaning.
Yeah, primordial, yeah. And I think this is probably the last word I wanna say for this evening on this issue.
Oh wow, it's already 20 after 1.
Yeah,
it's bedtime.
20 after 1, baby. It's not.
It's
what
bedtime.
you're seeing is that we've been recording for an hour and 20 minutes. It's not 20 after 1, my love. It's not.
No,
40.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. I think that this is, I think that.
This is a good conversation.
Yeah, I say this because I'm living towards jumping out of the cycle of existence. I hear you. I actually do. Interracial relationships. I think that at the end of the day, find somebody that you'll know when you, my soul recognized her soul. I feel like I've known her my entire life, even though we've only known each other for a relatively short amount of time. And we've only just been married a couple of years. But so there's a connection there that actually transcends and supersedes the amount of years, the amount of physical time that we've actually known each other. Right? There's a connection that's beyond physical. right? For me and my wife. She's my best friend. She's the best person I know. So for me, it's no longer a question of interracial relationships. For me, it's just what will I tell my children? Find the best person. Find whatever that person looks like, because it's here. It's here. It's what's here. Right? Dr. King says that one day I have a dream that one day my children will be judged by the content of their character and not by the color of their skin. That applies here. Right? The content of your character, the content of your heart. Right? And not just the color of your skin. That is my final word on interracial relationships. Thank you for hanging out with us. God bless you. God bless you all. And hopefully this was as enjoyable for you as it was for us. Final word, my love.
I'm good. Good night.
That was it.
Bedtime.
Good night.